All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Got to make sure my audio is off, of course, and that we are live over on Rumble. We're having some fun today. We have 7 news stories to cover. A couple of them are Fetterman related. I fucking wonder why. By the way, pinned at the top of chat if you're on YouTube. I forgot to put it in the description, but you can take that link either way. We are still cleaning up grease on Pixel Planet. You can take that medium blue and help them out. The war in the Balkans appears to be winding down. Several of the Turkish streamers that were attacking things there appear to have left the server. So in their absence, we can clean Greece up and then go about our business. Of course, we are still attempting to annex parts of the Levant as well as Egypt at the moment. So we'll get into that. Let me make sure that we're live over on Rumble. I know chat is working. Yeah, we're live over on Rumble. Make sure that everything is kosher here. Yeah, we'll be talking, don't worry, we'll be talking plenty about the Fetterman-Oz debate. Yeah, especially his leading statement. It was quite telling about his mental state and the wagon circling that's happened thereafter. A great deal of it. We've got an MSNBC article. We've got a ridicule, actually, on that same token. That's a terrible one, actually. Very insulting to many people. Hismanai says, happy Clank. Happy Clank to you, of course. And the cat, I think, is taking a shit over there, so you might hear some squishy in the background. Yeah, Fetterman didn't do well. We'll be, don't worry, we'll be covering that. First, we have a poll, WPXI online poll. Who won the Pennsylvania Senate debate? Mehmet Oz, 82%. John Fetterman, 18%. Not indicative of what the critics were saying. They basically made it a 50-50. They were coping. What happened is they couldn't reasonably say, well, John Fetterman ran away with it. What a great debate. He really redeemed himself. So instead, they pretend that it was a 50-50. It wasn't even close. I wouldn't necessarily say it was like an 80-20 in favor of Mehmet Oz, and I don't know how many votes it will actually change in the end because a lot of people have already made up their minds. Partisan voters, ideological leaners, members of either the Biden or the Trump groups. Of course, if you're MAGA, Mehmet Oz got the Trump endorsement. If you happen to be a Biden fan, John Fetterman has hitched his wagon to that dying horse, the old donkey to be put out to pasture, as Ron DeSantis would put it. And so it probably doesn't change your vote. When you've got a 50-50 race, though, and that's really what Pennsylvania has become, if you have a movement of a couple of points, a really, really small number of voters, that's really all you need in one direction or another. The problem with Fetterman is that he performed about as expected in the cognitive sense. What I analyzed this morning is that the problem is that with his, like he did a 180 on fracking. That's a big one. He refuses to release his medical records. That's a big one because, of course, he could have absolutely gobsmacked Mehmet Oz if he really has a medical record that says, look, he's got no cognitive problems at all. He's got aphasia, and that's the only thing. He could have come out at the end of the debate and said, oh, look, by the way, I have a piece of paper for everyone. It's up on www.shityourself.com. Put it down on the table and say, yeah, it's my medical records. You can read them for yourself. That would have ended the race. He could have completely crushed Mehmet Oz at that point. But the medical record doesn't say that. Now, does it, John Fetterman? And that's the problem. He doesn't dare to do so because it clearly will state, yes, he has cognitive issues. It's not just aphasia. It's not just he has trouble understanding what he's being told. He has cognitive issues. That would be expected after a major stroke. And it's no blot on his character, the fact that he had a stroke or anything like that. But if you want to be a U.S. senator, you're going to have to give speeches. You're going to have to plow through pages and pages of fucking legalese. You shouldn't have to, but you're going to have to. And the problem is that John Fetterman simply can't do that. He's not mentally aware enough to do that. Therefore, you've got a huge circling of the wagons right now with regards to ableism. Well, if you didn't like John Fetterman's stunning performance, his absolute star moment, clearly you're ableist. You hate people with disabilities and think that they should not be represented in Congress. No, I don't have a problem with that. I just don't think that people with mental problems should be in Congress. All too often, we have people with mental problems in Congress. That's part of our fucking problem. Just take a look at Mitt Romney if you don't believe me. RevX, everyone talks about the Fetterman-Oz debate while ignoring the possibly far more consequential Hochul-Zeldin debate. She screwed up way more. Yeah, but John Fetterman screwed up more visibly. And of course, that stole the headlines. I will be looking into the Hochul-Zeldin debate, but you've got to understand that is in New York. This is unlike Pennsylvania, which is a lean blue state. New York is a solid blue state. Hochul loses if she doesn't win by double digits. There's not a huge amount of hope for Lee Zeldin. Just a fool's chance, so to speak. He could pull it off. We'll see in the last slew of polls if he's narrowed it at all. She is still ahead, though, by a reasonable margin, and it's unlikely to change the trajectory of the race, at least enough for him to win. Dude McGuy just came here on the off chance your cat makes a cameo. One of them is literally sitting right in front of the screen. You just can't see her at the moment. Pete A. Headed to work now, so I'll recap later, but I wanted to ask, did you watch the Hochul versus Zeldin debate? Not yet. I will definitely be catching it later. That'll be my nighttime guilty pleasure, I suppose. Alex Bogey, did you watch any of the Wisconsin parade trial? Judge denied him, arguing jury nullification based on some precedents. I have not bothered to pay attention to the trial because it's obvious he will be found guilty, number one. And when that happens, there will be Antifa riots, number two. We already know, I mean, we've seen it so many times before, it's formulaic. It doesn't even matter. The Natural Human, thoughts on the New York Supreme Court Vax decision. It can be discussed on YouTube. No, it can't, but it can be discussed on a New Tech exclusive, and I made one this morning. So if you want to watch, you can see it on Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, or Minds.com. Fun decision. John Andrew, what's your take on getting Fetterman in to have him removed due to medical issues just to have him replaced with his wife? Biden slipped up on it. It's possible. I'm not sure that he wins at this point, though. We need more polls. We've got 2 weeks till the midterms. Not a huge chance for things to change in any astronomical fashion, but you could get a couple of polls in there that show like Fetterman-Oz +2, +3 or something. If that happens, it's advantage Oz. I already described this morning, though, the fact that he does have several detriments to his campaign. A lot of Oz voters are reluctant Oz voters that aren't taken in by Fetterman because of his cognitive issues, number one. And number two, you got to realize that Pennsylvania does still lean blue. So he's got some issues he has to overcome there. BPM, finally awake for one of these. Trump West 2024. Now, Kanye West will not be a running mate, nor will he be a serious presidential candidate. Go for Rand Paul. Sad Nightman. Hi, Sticks. Kitty, seriously, I can't focus. Have you seen clips from the New York gubernatorial debate? Also, the polls appear to be tightening in that race. Got some characters left, so clank. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I will take a look at it, and I'll give my estimation of any change in the trajectory of that race probably tomorrow. Not a banned account. When will Americans stop acting so sensitive? Never. We'll never. Tom Pollins, 787 on Rumble. Sticks, Fetterman-Oz was slightly underwhelming in its cringiness directly after the Zeldin-Hochul debate. Zeldin performed very well, in my opinion. Let's hope for a red New York on 11-8. It's entirely possible. The numbers are there to support the concept that Zeldin could actually get it and deny Hochul re-election. It's just not particularly likely. If it starts looking more likely in the next couple of weeks, the Democrats had better brace for impact. So yeah, the Fetterman-Oz debate can best be summed up by Fetterman's opening line. Hello, everyone. Good night. Yes. What a slogan. And of course, people are replicating that across the internet. We will be talking separately, though, about MSNBC's cover story for his shitty debate performance later. I am personally offended, just like a Karen. Ralph J., I've never seen so much spinning like for Fetterman. Yeah, I mean, it's even beyond, arguably, it's beyond most of what they spin for Biden. That's because it's so abysmal. Fetterman did a shitty job. He repeatedly went off the rails. So they have to talk about Oz lying because he's on TV, basically. Roscoe P. Coltrane, Biden should make the Island Boys his press secretaries. Get Duran Duran in there. That'd be funnier. Next, we've got another news story. Nolt, heating oil is already being rationed in Joe Biden's America. This is economic news, and I can't imagine. I mean, is this going to help him in Rhode Island, right next door to the state that they're mentioning? Connecticut, by the way. If you don't know anything about New England geography, don't worry that I've got you covered. Yes, indeed. It's only October, and in the mostly Democrat-run American Northeast, heating oil is already being rationed. Rationing. in America. We have natural resources so vast in this country, enough to power America for hundreds of years. And we're not only rationing oil, we're importing oil. The only reason this is happening is that the Democrats want it to happen. They did brag about wanting that to happen many, many months ago before it became a midterm issue. You'll remember that, by the way. If the rationing is not bad enough, how about the average wholesale cost for a gallon of heating oil is now $4.09 compared to $2.46 a year ago. And that's the wholesale price, so you are going to pay a lot more. Apparently, some providers, specifically in Connecticut, this article is talking about, although I think it's a thing elsewhere, like in Massachusetts, some providers are rationing the amount that they're giving out to the middlemen that actually ship it out to people's homes. So even if you have the money to pay, and a lot of people, trust me, won't have the money to pay that price, which is already inflated, even if you have the money to pay, you're not going to be able to get the full amount of oil you may need. So you're going to have to heat your house a little bit less this year. So when you have the internal temperature at 64 degrees, basically you can leave food out on the counter because your whole house is a refrigerator. You can blame Joe Biden for that. That's for heating oil. By the way, $6 per gallon, the Flight God. Is that California or something? In addition to scarcity, there's also the cost. Wholesale heating oil in New York Harbor averaged $4.09 a gallon on Thursday, compared with $2.46 at the same time a year ago. And keeping in mind, this is going into winter. Now, if you're in Texas, if you're in Florida, Alabama, Southern California, okay, heating oil is not as much of a thing. You might use a little bit of it on a chilly day. It hits 75 degrees in Tampa, and all of a sudden everyone wanders around with a sweater on. I've seen this myself. I lived in the Rio Grande Valley for a while, and in summer, of course, it's over 100 degrees. Everyone's stripped down as much as they can. I went shirtless as much as possible, trust me. Got a good tan, by the way, at the time, not just due to the fire ants all over the place. I went down there in December at one point, and of course, I'm coming from Vermont. When I left, there was 2-3 feet of snow on the ground. It was like 10 degrees or 15 degrees or something. I get down there, in the day, it's in the mid-70s. Everyone's wearing coats. They're going out. They've got puffy coats on. They look like they're in the Yukon or something like that, and I just don't understand it. New England, though, is a different bird. In New England, it hitting 0 degrees at night is not that uncommon. It happens every year. A warm winter is when it's above freezing for more than a couple of days at a time throughout maybe January or February or something like that. Heating oil is not just a luxury item when you're in a cold climate like that. You're in Washington State, you're in Minnesota, you're in Vermont, my home state, certainly Connecticut, although it's, by my standards, so it's certainly a little bit warmer than Vermont. It's much, much nicer. I'll be wandering around shirtless out in the middle of goddamn winter in a climate like Connecticut. People think that I'm the crazy neighbor. But you need, for the nighttime especially, you need heating oil if you're using oil for heat at all. Electrical costs are higher too, so it trickles down to those consumers as well. If you're having rationing of heating oil, the problem is it's disproportionately going to affect grandma, the people that most need the heating oil. It may not affect the young yuppie couple as much, or somebody like that. They've got maybe more money. They're younger. They can pile on the blanket. You've got some 80-year-old lady there who can't even heat her home a couple days at the end of the month because there's no oil there. They might die. And this does happen, by the way, even in a normal year in northern New England. There are people who die of cold in the winter months. They're elderly, they're impoverished, they die. It does happen there. So, yeah. And you've still got a shortage of baby formula. That's treated on separately in that article. The whole country still can't get enough baby formula. American families continue to struggle as the baby formula shortage has intensified, with 30% of brands reportedly out of stock. That was a few months ago, but I don't think it's actually improved that much. Let's see here. Caveman Resell. Hi, Sticks. Good night, everybody. I joked in the past that leftoids could run Beetlejuice out of Howard Stern and win, and Fetterman proves my joke. Good day, sir. Yeah, and keep in mind that he won his primary challenge by a significant margin. Whoops, they bet on the wrong horse. Illustrator. Start printing those Biden I did that stickers again, folks. They'll come in handy. Yeah, imagine you've got a couple sleeves of those. Those will be fun in a few months. We'll be talking separately about the incoming economic propaganda, by the way, from the Democratic Party. And it is coming, unfortunately. We'll have to deal with that shit. And it is horse shit. By the way, almost 4,000 people watching live already, so we're doing pretty good. Just wait till the midterm stream. 2 weeks from now, remember, I will go live with Sleazy P. Martini for 4 or 5 hours or something like that. We will have guests. We're trying to get a 5th guest aboard right now, someone who would be definitely a heavy hitter, I think, quite popular. I think Sleazy's got his manager talking to him. We do have an all-star lineup of good guests actually already there. Disclose TV putting this out, by the way, earlier. Just in, Elon Musk informs bankers he intends to close the Twitter deal on Friday, according to Bloomberg. Now, let's parse this apart. Firstly, the fact that he expects to close the deal does not mean that he closes the deal Friday, just to be clear. You've got Twitter employees right now up in arms. You've got the the Midas Touch and the Occupy Dems people pushing their Tribble Social or whatever the fuck it's called. They've got 50,000 downloads. Wow. That's a lot of people using your fucking platform. It's like what is that, 1% of Gab's audience alone or some shit like that. Anyway, Elon Musk expects to close the deal. I hope it goes through. I hope that it does close on Friday. Let's get this over with. Preempt the Biden admin investigating it like they clearly want to do. That's been posted multiple times. Yes, I am, by the way, aware of that threat to this deal. Let Elon Musk buy up Twitter. Let Twitter be run by someone competent for a change. I think it would be a welcome change. It hasn't happened in many years. Since Jack Dorsey left, the site has gone to shit. It's gotten 10 times worse than it was even before. If these people want to quit, let them quit. If Elon Musk purges the pink-haired freaks, good. Twitter is not going to become a libertarian paradise or anything like that. I've already separately analyzed that. That's beyond our realm of hope. But it will become better. It will become functional again. It'll also probably become profitable again. Yes, I think that people would be willing to pay a small monthly fee to use Twitter. I don't care. I'd be 99 cents a month or something. Okay, I'll do that just to make sure that I'm capable of using the platform to continue brutalizing leftoids. And knowing that people would be welcome back on the platform that had been banned long ago would also be good, because most of the people were banned for spurious reasons. I think it would be a good thing for the platform. It would mean that one old tech platform had at least partially repaired itself in the wake of 2015-16 and the massive, massive tidal wave of new censorship that's come through. He's got the money. He's got the capability of running the site. If he can make it even marginally profitable, by the way, the shareholders should love it. Oh, all of a sudden the site's not insolvent? Well, that's great. Yeah, we made more money. Let them sell out. Take the stock from all the billionaires that bought in and subdivide it to people who are only millionaires or something, so there's more people at the table. Gerald Armstrong, if you saw the debate and still vote Fetterman, you are a partisan hack that I don't take seriously. Yeah, the wagon circling is real, but really Fetterman did not do well. Steady Eddie 1983. Democrats are waiting to use voter suppression as a reason why they lost the midterms. Isn't that a form of election denying? Yes, it is. Stacey Abrams is famous at that. And she will, by the way, complain about that same thing in Florida, which won't go over well because early voting is at record highs there. Corey Alexander, to be honest, on deployment when I was 120 Fahrenheit during the day and 70 at night, it felt freezing. Sad. I'm from New Jersey. Yeah, I mean, if you have a huge temperature swing, yeah. But in Texas, it's more gradual. You have 100-degree days in the summer, but then it gets cooler in the winter. But it's still not that big a temperature swing. And it's not just day and night, of course. It's, over the course of the season. A crafty Huragok. My uncle passed away because of the cold in Washington state. Me and my dad installed a wood stove for my aunt, and we bring a cord of wood every year. Wood stoves are fun because they smell nice. Ozzy's Robots, think we'll ever have a constitutional convention? If so, what would result? Why the perpetual divide between urban and rural areas? Clank. It's possible that we end up with a constitutional convention at some point on one or more issues. That's possible. I have no clue what would result. It depends on why the convention's been called. And urban and rural areas have fundamentally different needs and fundamentally different roles in society. Rural areas growing the food for the avocado toast, $10 a slice at Starbucks or whatever it is. But they tend not to be financially profitable because, the infrastructure is going to be lacking in an area where you've got 10 people per square mile. Urban areas are centers of processing and trade and things like that. They tend to be profitable, but they need the resources from the rural areas. And so everyone votes in their self-interest at the end of the day. Symbolic belief, chances COVID spawns another dangerous variant. 0% in time for the midterms, which is the insinuation there. Return to the of the Savage Sword. Hey, Sticks, are you doing a special video or stream for Halloween? Yes, of course I'll do a Halloween stream. It'll probably be at the regular time slot here. It's on a Monday, so that works. Eric writes, maybe Biden talking about the dark winter wasn't a warning so much as it was a threat. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, agreed. By the way, 69 a drummer. Avocados are not nasty. It's just that if you smear some avocado on a piece of toast and you get it from Starbucks, it's massively overpriced. Or Panera or something like that. Salty Ironworker. By the way, thank you for the $50, my man. I'm not making fun of him, but what the fuck is going on with Fetterman's neck? By the way, I don't think he's answered that question, just to be clear. As always, thanks for your hard work and making me sound politically smarter to my fellow union ironworkers. It's an uphill battle trying to red pill them, but showing them your vids helps. No, thank you. Definitely share them out far and wide. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Fetterman's neck. I don't think it's stroke related, though. I think it might be from a pre-existing injury or something. Have we got any explanation? Maybe somebody can tell me tell us what the fuck is going on there. He looks like one of the Koopas from the live-action Super Mario movie that was back in like 92 or something like that. Troyamunga 000. My father thinks Sleazy is an actual crack dealer and is bamboozled. You would let him on your show, LMAO. Doesn't know anything about Guar. Oh, he thinks he's an actual crack dealer? I don't know. Maybe he really does. Who knows? Streaming analytics. It's my birthday. Clank. Oh, happy birthday there. Stan Vanderact. Michigan Prop 3 aims to legalize third trimester abortion and make it taxpayer funded. I am just preempting the question. Clank is love. Clank is life. Yeah, there are similar propositions in other states too. To be clear, as a pro-choicer, I still oppose the idea of aborting a baby at 8 months or something like that. At that point, it's viable. You no longer have an excuse. If you want to get rid of it, do the adoption thing. Have a cesarean section or something. So yeah, Elon Musk does plan to obtain Twitter, apparently as of a couple of days from now. We'll see. We'll wait and see, because we've heard this before. I hope it happens, but we'll wait and see. Next news story. Katie Hobbs fails to explain why she destroyed 20 years of Arizona tradition, talking about her, of course, being unwilling to debate Kari Lake. I would like to point this out. It's the tale of two elections between the gubernatorial slot in Arizona and what we saw literally the other day with Fetterman and Oz with the Senate race in Pennsylvania. Two Democrats, neither of which is capable of debating competently, took two entirely different roads. Fetterman said, okay, I've got two choices. I lose a debate against Mehmet-Oz, but I get to talk about how brave I am, say that I'm medically just fine. I might mush some words together, but don't worry, everyone. I know you can't see my medical records, but I'm perfectly fine. The doctor released a note saying I was fit to serve in the Senate. He looked at the situation and he said it's better to debate and mush words together and say some off-the-wall shit too, than to not debate and be reckoned a coward and to effectively announce that you're disqualifying yourself by doing so. Katie Hobbs, meanwhile, has gone the opposite route. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's more likely that Fetterman, despite his performance, actually wins election in Pennsylvania than that Katie Hobbs manages to hold on in Arizona. She's getting absolutely pounded by the Arizona media right now, and she's the goddamn Democrat. And if you look at clips of her speaking, you'll understand why. Katie Hobbs doesn't want to avoid making Arizona an embarrassment. That's her excuse for not debating Kari Lake. Kari Lake is MAGA. Kari Lake is an extremist. Kari Lake denies the election. I'm not even going to justify her by getting up on the stage. That's not why. That's the cover story. The real reason is because she is absolute shit at public speaking. John Fetterman post-stroke is a better public speaker than Katie Hobbs is. And so, link in the description, of course, she is being dogpiled big time. Yeah, including by the local MSM. Katie Hobbs gets owned by MSM at Kari Lake. And this was from, what is this, GMA Newsweek. This week, I believe. So it's sort of like a localized C-SPAN. Trafalgar putting out new polls, of course. Kari Lake is ahead by about 3 points. If you have any polling skew at all, I think that Kari Lake probably wins the gubernatorial slot. Now, of course, we've got a separate issue. Down in Arizona, you have Maricopa County. And although it is partially defortified, it's not completely defortified. You need more than a 3-point gap. The problem for the Democrats going into this election is that 6 or 7 points might be the actual gap, in which case it's going to be a slaughter fest. It's going to be like a Guar concert when nobody will survive. We're looking at a situation where Rhode Island gets its first Republican representative in, I think, 30 years. We've got a competitive race potentially based on one poll, but we'll keep an eye on it in New Mexico for the gubernatorial slot. You've got likely a Republican, albeit a neocon Republican, winning in Oregon. You have the Pennsylvania race that was almost plus 10 for Fetterman, now 50-50. You have a race that was conceived of being competitive in Florida. That's now DeSantis plus 10. You have the same thing when you look at Stacey Abrams v. Kemp. That's almost 10 points now. Herschel Walker has revived himself in the polls, and it's almost neck and neck in Georgia for the Senate slot. Maggie Hassan is holding on by less than 4 points in New Hampshire in the aggregate over Bolduc. Over and over and over again, you have these polling movements. If the same holds true, and we don't have many new polls from Arizona, if it holds true in what is effectively now a swing state, that's what Arizona has become, that Kari Lake really is ahead by 3 or 4 points, and you have a polling skew, which is very likely to happen. I give it a 3-point skew. I'm on the conservative end. Some people think it'll be quite a bit more than that. Kari Lake can't help but win. The Democrats might lose 5 gubernatorial slots. They will lose control of the Senate by 2, 3, maybe 4 seats. They'll lose a massive amount of House support. They're destined to lose the House at this point. That's not even a question anymore. And you only have 2 weeks out from the midterms. There's presumably no more time for Katie Hobbs to arrange a debate with Kari Lake. Ultimately, though, I think she makes the right decision here, because if she shows up to debate Kari Lake has 20 years experience as a journo, left the legacy media because she got, fucking tired of it. She's very well spoken. She is, in my opinion, on the very, very short list for a potential future presidential run. And Katie Hobbs is the giggly valley girl. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She trails off mid-sentence. She's basically like a non-stroke addled John Fetterman anyway. He probably made the right choice to debate. She, oddly enough, may be making the right choice not to debate. Hindsight will be 2020 when she probably loses. That'll probably be what's blamed. The Democrats will do an autopsy and say, we lost Arizona because Katie Hobbs was sour grapes. No, she might lose anyway. She shows up to debate, she gets owned. She doesn't show up to debate, she gets branded a coward by the Arizona media. How can she possibly win? I almost feel a little bit sorry for her, actually. Alex Bogey. 30 Dems, including the squad, sign a letter to Biden that Ukraine must negotiate a peace deal because of nuclear war danger. Yeah, they signed a letter, a strongly worded letter, but it's better than nothing. By the way, this comports to an article that I talked about the other day, talking about how in the end, you'd see a schism in the Democratic Party emerging right before the midterms as people try to save themselves. And I responded to that and said, look, you've already got that evidence. It's this letter that was authored. Clumsy Vash, Clank On, Thug Love. Butt Sack Ball Cheeks, just moved to Kenosha from Illinois a few months ago. I finally get to vote in a swing state and I'm extremely excited. Have fun. And probably wear a bulletproof vest if you're in Kenosha. The Landlord Harassment Channel. If Kansas, the second most conservative state in the union, couldn't ban abortion, no state will. Most conservatives are secretly pro-choice. To an extent, I think most of them are, yeah. First trimester at the least. And or rape and incest, things like that, woman's life in danger. Some of these states that are attempting to pass laws that would ban abortion, even if the woman's going to die on the slab, That's completely moronic. The GOP should know better. It's not ethical. It's not reasonable in any way, shape, or form. It's effectively the state trying to murder somebody. If you're talking about elective abortion, I would still say a significant plurality of conservatives believe in the first trimester it should be tolerated because they see it as the lesser of two evils. And that's basically where I fall at this point. I'm pro-choice. I'm not pro-partial birth abortion. The idea of someone electively aborting at 8 months in is just bizarre. It's just asinine. And the left keeps pushing it, which is why they tossed that issue. Alex Deman, Dems so desperate in Oregon, they've brought out Obama to pitch Kotek, literally begging Oregonians to vote Dem. Literally saw 18 ads in 6 hours. That's a lot. Yeah, apparently they're very, very worried about the Oregon gubernatorial race. Can you imagine that? They've gone from having a pipe dream of, hey, we can flip Florida blue, to saying, oh shit, we might lose control of Oregon, New Hampshire, and New York on the same night. Possibly Michigan and New Mexico as well. It would be the landslide of all landslides. It would probably be the biggest landslide, I think, since Reagan's re-election in 1984. Jeronin, splish splash, I've been clanking my glass, tuning in since 2016. Thank you for all of your hard work, and thank you for the $5. I will put it to good use, of course. Eric writes, love you, man, and I got to head back in from last break, but when I said last night that Drazen reminds me of Romney, I was more so seeing an empty Sioux. Yeah, I mean, it's better than the alternative, though. One more punishment of the Democrats can't hurt. Maybe they will lose. My hope is that on election night, I underestimate Republican support. They go in, they get a 3+ point polling skew, plus all of the good polls they've been getting anyway in the actual aggregates. They crush the Democrats. They take 50 House seats, maybe 55. They crush them in the Senate. They crush them in state houses. Finally, the Democrats will be forced, I think, to autopsy why their party keeps having this problem. The Democrats are creating the pendulum effect right now because people keep looking at the Republicans. They overstretch, something Democrats typically do, and they get punished for it. But the Democrats don't counter by stabilizing as a party. I want 2 choices, not 1, but I can't see that many Democrats I could feasibly vote for right now. Fuck, I was an Obama voter in 2008. I'm not a natural home fucking Republican or anything like that. I've never registered with their party, donated to a candidate. I don't stump for the Republicans, but I'm looking at what the Democratic Party's doing, and it's so goddamn off the wall, so terribly awful. There is no other possible refuge for a voter in the United States right now. James Flowers. I bought a Quest 2 before the price rise. Have you played any VR? It's very entertaining to bully children in TTT. No, I've never used VR at all. BW, did you see Carrie Lake get that a person in a chicken suit to dance the funky chicken? They said it was Katie Hobbs. Amusing. Zedekai, getting some blueberry kolaches before work. I have no clue how to pronounce that. Not a clue. Showing that I'm not a Zoomer, probably. American Rebel Force, you are one of my favorite political analysts on the internet. First time being able to catch you live and send you some inflation-ridden fiat notes. Clank. Well, I thank you for them anyway. They do still buy things. It's just less and less each day. Might as well spend it quick and stimulate the economy. It won't be worth much tomorrow. Punk Shock Rock, can I get a shout out? Clank. Yeah, I've pinned you up there. Punk Shock Rock. JD 1989, Sticks, Breitbart said in an article that Bailey and Pritzker are neck and neck in Illinois. Thoughts, and is it preemptively honked by the Dems? I don't think there's much of a chance in Illinois against Pritzker. I think that's a long shot. You have more of a chance in New York or Oregon or a place like that. Whitmer might get knocked off her pedestal. Jocko Slapbass, is Kanye toast? Oh, no, he'll be fine. I mean, he's got fuck you money 1,000 times over. He doesn't give a fuck. If anything, he'll just design his own media empire or something like that. Uranium Rabbit. Hi, Sticks. Mom lives in Rhode Island. I'm from Rhode Island. I live in Virginia now. My friends and mother are convinced that the January 6th committee has the evidence to arrest Trump. I just don't get it. Have some money. Thank you for the money, by the way. Yeah, I mean, they can indict Trump if they want to at any time. They don't even need proper evidence, but it's not going to go anywhere. You're about to have a red wave in which the House and Senate will be massively controlled by the GOP. What the fuck is J6 going to do? Next news story. This is from MSNBC. This is a preemptive article, predictive programming. If successful in the midterms, Republicans are prepared to crash the economy and trash the full faith and credit of the United States via Maddow blog. Rachel Maddow strikes again. She seems a little bit obsessed with similar issues. Her and Joy Reid, both from the same network. I wonder why. Anyway, here's your predictive programming. The Democrats know that the economy is going to outright collapse in 2023. They're prepping to try to blame it on the red wave. They're prepping to blame it on Republican obstruction. The economy would not have collapsed if they had passed the laws that we wanted to pass, if they had not obstructed our budget, if they had massively inflated the currency more and more, then the economy wouldn't collapse. Yeah, no, it wouldn't. You'd keep pumping it. You'd keep it afloat. The problem is that nobody would have any savings anymore. The alternative is worse. The alternative to the Republicans imposing a quasi-austerity and saying, okay, enough is enough, stop spending all the funny money and shit, let's get back to work. That will cause unemployment to rise. It will stagnate the inflation rate. The Fed will have to react. There's where you get your unemployment from. You might get stagflation. This is because of lockdownerism and freewheeling funny money spending, pumping up the economy. It becomes like crack cocaine. Now you have to go through withdrawal. A recession, a la what the Republicans will trigger, although they're not the cause of it, would be preferable to the alternative. The alternative is you keep pumping the economy, like we've been doing anyway since the Great Recession, and you set yourself up for a bigger and bigger failure. Over time, the bubble gets bigger and bigger. You keep pumping it. You're wasting people's savings, destabilizing the economy, and making the United States economy in general less competitive. We've kicked the can down the road now for a very long time. We throttled back under Trump, which is one of the greatest things that he did, although he didn't completely end it. He did throttle it back to a much lower level. If you keep pumping the economy like Biden and the Democrats want to do, it is inevitable that it will collapse in the future. The longer that you wait, the higher the collapse will be. It's going to be absolutely catastrophic. If it collapsed today, it would be catastrophic. Just imagine if you get 2 more years of wasteful spending. It'll be twice as bad by then. You'll have inflated the currency about that much probably by that time. But they're prepping because they know that the economy is likely to come down under its own inflated weight anyway. It's likely to result in something akin to the Great Recession. And so they're prepping to say, well, the only reason that it happened is that you voted Republican. No, we didn't cause it with our own fiscal policies for 2 fucking goddamn years when we had free reign to do whatever we wanted. Yeah, we printed trillions of dollars and did Solyndra 2.0, Green New Deal shit, infrastructure bill that's really pork barrel. We hyperinflated the currency. We forced the Fed to get involved, but it's not our fault. It's the out party, now turned in party, that's actually irresponsible. I would point out that we're already in a recession. We've already seen American savings decline by a precipitous amount. These things have already happened. The economy has already fundamentally collapsed anyway. You're just looking for a further collapse that results in higher unemployment and the degradation of the stock market. But they're going to blame it on the Republican Party, even though it'll be the result of Democrat policies. By the way, I think the baby's getting a word in edgewise up there. Alex Bogey, scariest Halloween costume this year. Walk around in a Biden mask and have the nuclear briefcase. Open it, press the button, and say, need a refill on meds. Kraut Girl, my husband died in January and he used to listen to you every morning. Now I do because it makes me feel like he's still there. Thank you for being you, Sticks. That's very touching, and I appreciate that deeply. And condolences to you for the loss of a great clanker, it sounds like. Crazy Loon. Grain of truth, the debate would be an embarrassment, but for Hobbs, not Arizona. Her getting elected would be the embarrassment for Arizona. Yeah, I mean, she has like maybe a 30% chance, I think, now. She's getting dogpiled. She's down in the polls. It's becoming an issue that she refuses to debate. Jack Perry. Sticks, Charlie Crist was the first governor of Florida 2006 before the Florida AG under Jeb Bush won re-election in 2010, then 2012 to 2014. Get this. And I think you're doing a follow-up there. You've got the I don't know. Walker Voss, in a predictable act of cowardice, the Dems retracted their call for diplomacy in Ukraine yesterday and blamed staffers for the release. Yes, the leftoids did cuck because they realized that there wasn't quite as much support as they figured for basically what amounts to a leftoid Hail Mary before the midterms. But it still shows the crack in the party. And then blaming staffers. Nobody's going to take that fucking seriously. DevilDog3213 sent $2. No chat, thank you. Catalyst, thanks for your video on Murkowski in Alaska. We need more awareness of oddities going on here. We're trying to vote these old traitors out. Yeah, I still think that Murkowski and Peltola have the advantage, but it's not insurmountable. We need more polling. I keep complaining about that. Over on Rumble, we've got a couple of chats here. Close out MSNBC. Fuck MSNBC. Silver Tree Consortium, nearly 1,500 people watching on Rumble and less than 200 likes. If you have a problem figuring out if you like sticks, you are not based. Yeah, smash that like button. No cap for real, as the kids say these days. Jank Uger's Sweaty Gunt. Hey, fellow Kenosha Clanker. Silver Tree Consortium. Thanks for all the content, Sticks. It makes my morning. Not something I would normally do, but for the grift. Check out me on Rumble and Locals, the consortium.locals. Okay, so Silver Tree Consortium. He is over on Locals as well. Il Sarto, which state specifically is trying to ban abortion outright with no exclusions? I think Oklahoma was on that list last I checked. Most of them keep an exclusion for if a woman's life is in danger, to be clear. But some Republicans have tried to go further than that. I think some of it's been shot down by now. But the fact that they'd even put it out there in a midterm election year is crazy. Joey D45, don't forget to vote for SticksCat at grifties.com. Vote for Sticks too. The Tad is don't be. I don't know how to pronounce your username. Dems won't self-correct after just one election. No, that's true. But if they get really goddamn rubbed out, it's possible that they finally look at it and say, look, maybe we don't want the far left and a bunch of union Dems under the same umbrella because they don't get along with each other. Next news story is something I disagree with. Charles Lipson weighing in. Violent crime is driving a red wave. I'm going to explain a couple of reasons why this is not actually the case. Nothing about Lipson, no offense, but I don't think that you're right. Violent crime has disproportionately risen in urban areas. In some cases, it does impact the inner suburbs, and that would definitely have an impact on the midterm election. But for the most part, it's an inner city problem. Unless you're talking about nonviolent crime, I mean, even property crime and stuff like that is up in small town America mostly, actually, at this point. As far as rape, murder, things like that, a lot of it is inner city. It's in blighted areas, St. Louis or Philadelphia or someplace like that, New York City at this point. So that's not really changing voters' minds, not in a way that's actually going to impact the races, because if there's a district there, it's far blue. It's like 80% Dem. It's not going to impact the Senate races quite so much, not in an outsized sense, because its impact is blunted. Really, though, the crux of the problem is economic. Crime is listed, I think, as number 4 or number 5 on Americans' minds. Number 1 is inflation. Number 2 is gas prices. Although the economy is separately listed, that's number 1 whenever it's separately listed. So the economy as a whole, chunks of the economy, the border crisis, I think, is usually number 4. Then you've got crime, and then you've got climate change, abortion, other side issues, back burner issues at this point, I would say. The problem is if it's the number 5 issue, so clearly Americans aren't focusing on that as a front burner thing. If it's limited to areas there, the Democrats outperform generally anyway. The only real impact it's going to have is on the inner suburbs, suburban areas that tend to be low crime, but they happen to be relatively close to the edge of the inner city. So you don't have as much of a good view. Your view is of the projects or something like that, your gated communities view. That's why they only build ranch homes there usually. They don't want people to have a second floor because then they can see what's beyond the fence outside the security zone. Here's the thing. The big thing will be the economy. The red wave is being driven by inflation and gas prices, and to an extent the border. So I simply disagree with this article. I just wanted to point that out because I have seen crime mentioned over and over by right-wingers with regards to the election results, and I must definitely deviate from them as far as my own analysis. It's the economy, stupid, and the border. Jack Perry challenges Rubio for Senate, loses GOP while governor. Primary changes party to independent while GOP governor loses again, then loses to Rick Scott in the primary. Salty Ironworker. Been meaning to ask you, what site would you prefer we watch your vids? Right now, I watch you on YouTube, one or Rumble, and one on BitChute, trying to spread it out. Is there one of them you prefer we watch you on to help you? No, you can watch me on any platform. The reason that I use so many platforms is I want people to have that choice. But I do make one video every day that is only on new tech. So one video a day does not go on YouTube. For those of you watching me on YouTube, links in the description, you should definitely follow me on one of those other sites. BitChute, Rumble, Minds, or Odyssey. Alex Bogey, early voting shows Dems leading 10% in Georgia. Should the whole vote on election day plan be dropped? After all, they count early vote after the same day. Leading by 10% is definitely not great for the Democrats in a state that they've hoped would be leaning left, because typically they outperform that in early voting. 10% is nothing for an early voting differential. They've got a 10-point lead. I don't think that they're going to win in Georgia. They might win the Senate slot. You know, Warnock is slightly ahead. They're not going to win the gubernatorial slot against Kemp. Mega Sea Monkey, I live in Fairfield County, Connecticut. There is massive Trump derangement syndrome here. Got to clank on until I move. By the way, everyone, no more super chats because the baby is awfully chuffy up there. It's getting harder to concentrate, and I'll probably keep it a little bit short today. Jack Perry, all the change party to Democrat, takes U.S. House Florida 13. Local boy, run for governor by Dem to Scott and loses again. This guy is a snake, and he's nuts. And then we have Joey D45 on Rumble. Don't forget to vote for SticksCat at grifties.com. Vote for Sticks too. I may have already read that one, or you posted it twice. I'm not sure. And then the last news story, I wanted to weigh in on this because it's just cringe. MSNBC post, so cringe. Disabled Americans have the right to be represented and, most importantly, to work. And that includes working for the U.S. government. They're actually trying to say that John Fetterman has some sort of a right to be in office because of the fact that he fucking had a stroke. Literally, I mean, link in the description. Read it for yourself. I didn't even bother to archive this one. I'm just like, wow. Here's the thing. Nobody has an intrinsic right to an elected office. The people that are electing the person to office are the only ones that hold that right. That's number one. Number two is someone who is supposedly disabled. I was diagnosed with ADHD. I was in the sped shed when I was in school up until senior year, when the state of Vermont kicks you out so that they don't have to give you state funding after you're an adult. It's interesting how that works. They move you off the individualized educational plan when you turn 18, if possible, so that the state doesn't have to pay you money as disabled. Before that, the school gets money for you being disabled. They like that until you're in your senior year. Little known fact about Vermont and many other states, by the way. Now, I was never disabled in the sense of having a cognitive incapacity. I always got straight A's. I had like a 3.8 GPA in high school or something. NHS, went off to UVM, et cetera, et cetera. So it wasn't an academic issue. I, therefore, have a problem with being lumped into the same category. It's sort of like, supposedly I have a Native American ancestor somewhere. And so when somebody like Elizabeth Warren comes along and acts like they're due something, or Lakota man comes along and says, well, you should give me money because, my great-great-grandparent, was a squaw or something, I chuff at that. I don't want to be lumped into your stupid group. The same is true of being disabled. I don't want to be lumped in with John Fetterman. He had a stroke. He's probably got issues with his memory and his overall cognition. The idea that what we're seeing is just aphasia, by the way, is horseshit. He clearly has more than that, or he'd release his medical records. John Fetterman is not due a spot in the American government simply because he had a stroke. That's goddamn asinine. And to lump him in, he had a stroke, okay. That's not the same as having some underlying mental problem. And I do that in quotations because I don't see many mental disorders as really a disorder at all. Oh, you got mild depression? Yeah, I've got seasonal affective. Okay, it's not really disabling you. And there are things you can do for that. Drink chamomile. Trust me, just try it. I don't want to be lumped in with Stroke Man here. He was crazy before he had his stroke anyway. If he's got a disability, it's his disability, his inability to understand basic economics, basically. Ableism is trending in the United States right now. Think of it that way. And by the way, is that not terrible levels of wagon circling? Well, you're just ableist. That's the reason why you think Fetterman lost. He was so good on everything issue related. Yeah, he did a 180 on fracking. He says that he would support Biden in 2024. He's openly hostile to gun owners. He has no goddamn clue what he's talking about on even basic economics. Not that Fetterman-Oz is massively better, but at least he's slightly sane. He's semi-sober. John Fetterman's like the town drunk trying to explain anything as far as money goes. Yes, but you have to ignore all of that. Ignore every policy issue. He stammered a few times and he had some verbal gaffes, including in his opening sentence, and therefore you're ableist if you don't want to vote for him. Oh boy, what a goddamn crock of shit, and I hope he loses. Ozzy's robots. Since the Great Reset, COVID, we've seen issues normally associated with commie countries like shortages, poor workers, and horrible travel. Coincidence? No, it's not. It is communism. Jack Perry, thanks, Sticks. That was a lot. You're good. And Transylvanian 90, please, no more super chats. I do have to go off here in a minute. How long until you think they throw Biden under the bus, as his cognitive decline is massively worse now? Soon after midterms, if they scapegoat him. They will scapegoat him, and they will begin throwing him under the bus at that time. Whether he gets removed from office is an entirely different story. I hope that he does the stubborn old man thing and refuses to go and makes their lives fucking miserable in retribution for transparently using him as a puppet. Ultramanga 721, Democrat-run cities equals Democrat-ruined cities. Chicago is a shooting gallery. San Francisco has become junkie central, and New York City GTA 5 in the subways on the daily. Yeah, there's some GTA overlap, that's for sure. Minus the good musical soundtracks anyway. So yeah, I'm going to go off now because I can't concentrate anymore anyway. Remember, I will be live on the midterms. I'll be live tomorrow as well at the same normal time with your usual news wrap-up. It'll be a good time had by all. Might end up talking about Fetterman some more if the legacy media keeps doing so many wagon-circling articles. One last super chat, Green Glassful. Liberalism is the same as communism. FDR, anyone? FDR was a socialist, not a liberal. That's about all. Peace out.